Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching this episode of Some Things to Think About. And this episode was inspired by uh, one of our friends that is a subscriber that um, asked about water and about water purification. Um, as you saw from the title, it was 3 minutes, 3 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks. And basically, you can survive for 3 minutes without oxygen. We talk on here occasionally about being prepared for a polluted environment, whether it be volcanic ash, whether it be radiation, whether it be a chemical or biological threat or attack. You know, a train could dump toxic tankers in an accident or a semi, and all of a sudden you're in a toxic environment. So we talk about making sure you have masks. We talk about 3 hours without shelter. That is in extreme heat, in extreme cold conditions. And that's something that we are assuming that we are in a sheltered place. Okay, it may not always be the case, and that, of course, is something to think about. Survive for 3 days without water if you have shelter from a harsh environment. So water is important, incredibly important, and we're going to focus on water today. You can survive for 3 weeks without food if you have water and shelter. So last night in the last episode, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. We touched on this a little bit, what could possibly happen in the Middle East with the collapse of the Israeli government. And you can see it's starting to make its way around the other media sources. Empty shelves at a Walmart and Aldi's. This is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And it is there are varying reports as far as food, where it's available, where it's not available, what kind of things are being emptied out first. And of course, we know there's a baby formula shortage going on that's going to continue to go on. Feminine hygiene products, that's already started, that's going to continue. And this list: peanut butter, pasta, canned tomatoes, baked goods, baking goods, if you are able to bake, flour, sugar, yeast, etc., cooking oils, canned vegetables and fruits, of course, water, applesauce. Just a quick list of some of the things that could be disappearing shortly, or shortages coming with those items. Water is an issue in many parts of the world right now. Again, the main focus of this is going to be on water purifications. As you can read what's happening, and in that part of the world, water shortages aren't normal. This is an intentional water shortage. This is a water supply being intentionally cut off. That's a distinct possibility for us. And as you can see, people lining up to get water. And as you can see, the water they're getting, it's coming from a lake. So you're going to have to do some things to that. All right. Let's take a look here. Just a quick water filter emergency preparedness. This was what was specifically asked about in the comment section of the episode last night, and has been asked about before. you can see the prices of various kinds of water purification and various, let's go down here a little bit, individual, what they're called, life straws. Water purification tablets. One of these tablets will purify roughly 1 liter of water. So $24.99 to purify 4 gallons of water. And you're not filtering the water. So you're purifying it possibly from a biological or maybe even a, microbiological chemical level. But if it's not being filtered, you're going to have all kinds of other stuff potentially in that water. So these are incredibly expensive. And you can see some of the videos under $35, 19 hours ago. Here we go again. Prepper's Guide to Water. Now, the Canadian Prepper, very popular prepping channel. And keep in mind, as you got back to back there, he sells this stuff, okay? And you just have to always keep that in mind. And he can get a little bit fear pornish, oh, this is it. It's all, but this is the end, blah, 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 all the time. We want you to prepare and never panic. Of course, we talk about that a lot, but no fear, be not afraid. Okay. Because we can't prepare for every single thing. We can prepare for some basic things: water, food. Try to have as safe as possible shelter. The basics. We can prepare for those, and we should prepare for those. This is what I was talking about last night, as far as putting together a very good, effective filtration system. It's under practical preparedness. And if you want to know how to do this with just 2 5-gallon buckets, some basic, a tap to drain the water out, and just a way to secure a filter. Okay, this one is going to require replacement filters. And those may be hard to get, but let me go. Okay, hold on just a second. This is another video that I recommend you take a look at if you're considering building your own water filters. This gentleman's from New Zealand, and basically the Berkeys, these are the most popular. The big Berkey water filter system is the most popular, and it's incredibly expensive, even more so having to import it into New Zealand. So he basically built his own water filter system, and this system does not require replacement filters. It is a more natural filtered system. So I recommend you take a look at this one as well. And Tiny House and Off-Grid Resources. And he's got some decent videos. What else did I want to mention? Oh, I know what it was. The 2-person emergency preparedness kit, okay? The 2-person emergency preparedness kit is basically for 72 hours. The reason I bring this up is a couple of reasons. Let's say let's say you're a single parent, okay? And let's say you're a single parent of a grown child. Okay, it's no longer a child. Your kid is now an adult and doesn't consider prepping an issue. Okay, they're not going to prep for anything. They're, if anything was coming, they'd already know about it because they're smarter than all of us. And that's not all, but you know what I'm saying. All right, this may be something to think about. You get this. This is a 2-person emergency preparedness kit. Okay, it's just one bag. Let's make clear, it's not 2 bags, just one bag, but enough stuff for 2 people. You get this and you give it to your child that is no longer a child. You give it to your adult offspring and say, look, something may happen. And if it does, I'm going to try to get up here to you or down here to you or over here to you, and if so, I want to have stuff. So I'm giving this to you, and you just keep it. You don't need to open it up. Don't need to look inside it. Just keep it for my peace of mind. Okay. Because it will be for your peace of mind, because you will know that they have something in case poo-poo hits the circulating device that keeps us cool. All right. Just something to think about. The reason I bring it up now is, and I have nothing to do with Stealth Angel or any this company or anything. I'm bringing it up because it's normally $300, and right now it's $129, and basically you're saving $170. So look at it as an insurance policy, okay? And tell them the same thing. Look at it as an insurance policy. You're going to get, the reason I bring it up, you're going to get water. There are 12 4-ounce water pouches inside there, okay? Those are, they're not going to taste the greatest because, first of all, they're not going to be ice cold, and they are not going to, they're going to be packaged. But they could save somebody's life. Just something to think about. So, and they've got a bunch of other things in here, including a 38-piece portable first aid kit. Okay. So again, I'm not affiliated with them. I don't get anything. I just saw the price, and the price was like, wait, that's pretty good for a pack with all the stuff it has in it. And it is free shipping and available in stock. Now, after this video, I don't know, if 50 of you go buy this after seeing this, then it may not be in stock. But again, just something to think about. If you've got somebody, or, you're a younger person and your parent is so set in their ways and thinks that, unless Fox News tells them something's going to happen, nothing's ever going to happen. You do this, you buy this and say, hey, I want you to keep this here so that if something does happen and I come here, I've got this. All right. And they'll have it too, and without even knowing it, because you're smarter than they are. Otherwise you wouldn't be watching this channel. So that gives us again, practical preparedness, DIY emergency water purification. And it's a little bit more detailed, but you're getting a little bit more water. You're going to have to replace the filters. This guy's figured something out, and take a look at it. If you are thinking about doing something where you can filter your own water, if we get into a situation, a long-term situation, filtering our own water may be maybe something that becomes a necessity. And it may be sooner than we think. We hope not, but it may be. Want to just point out, want to just point out that there was a mass solar ejection today. It went that way instead of coming at us. But that area is rotating around towards us. We've got a very active area now. And hold on a second. Why did I do that? We got a very active area now, as you can see from the spots here. But we have another even more active area coming towards us. So wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that. And plus I get something else here. I want to show you, I want to share with you that is just kind of came in. I'm just going to basically play this whole thing as the end of our episode. We talk a lot about the magnetic poles. We talk a lot about the sun. We just showed you some of the sunspots. I wasn't going to use this. This again just came in, and two things I want us to be aware of with this.
And folks, this is not the normal way we look at the sun. It's 174 angstroms of light from ionized iron via proba 2 swap. We've got a couple of notes and then a Titanic story to share. First, we're watching proba 2 because SDO is down, not the satellite, but the data center in Stanford where we get the images. This should be restored in short order. And indeed, we have several ways of watching the sun when SDO goes down. Proba, GOES, and of course, stereo, SOHO, and the solar flare and solar wind monitors. We'll see what we have to work with in the morning. Up next.
Okay. It's not that the satellites are down, it's that the monitoring station is down for how the sun is normally observed here on Earth. And that monitoring station is in Stanford University in California. And that monitoring station is down because of a power outage. All right. That's why I said they will probably be back up. If the power outage is a 3-day power outage, it won't be back up. Anyway.
Bad news overnight from Afghanistan. Shallow rumbles matter so much here, where a 5.9 earthquake was and often is far deadlier and more damaging than a larger earthquake somewhere else in the world. Hearts are with them as the death toll is expected to rise. Now, the big story, it's from Wired.com with an A- rating from the observers, which is about as high a score as we give. It's about what many of you observers already know. The sun has many times tossed an eruption our way that would send us back to the Stone Age. The last one was just before the emergence of humans' electrical age. The article interviewed Dr. McIntosh from Colorado about his work with Dr. Nick Potty, who was slated to be at our 2020 Observers Conference before COVID canceled it. Out of the gate, we stand with Dr. McIntosh in that so much of what they say about the sun is just made up physics, the nuclear furnace, why sunspots appear where they do, why the sun's polarity flips every 11 years. But what's real is the fact that during the big event that will happen again someday, we check the magnetic polarity of the plasma eruption via satellite and would only have as much as an hour's warning and is lit.
Okay. This is a little technical, possibly, but basically what's being said is that the potential for damage from the sun is a constant, and at certain times it is more damaging and deadly than other times, potentially damaging and deadly. And we would, if something is ejected towards us, we will have maybe an hour warning and maybe 15 minutes if it's moving fast, okay? If something like that gets out, we will get it out here That's another reason I say subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we're on. We'll be on live, we'll be on breaking if things like this are indeed coming. What would it mean? Has it happened before? Yes, it happened in 1921 and it happened in 1849. 1849, we didn't have a lot of electric. And there wasn't a lot of, a lot of damage. 1921, there was the beginning of the electrification of the world. And now in 2022, we're overdue, by the way. Now in 2022, the world is totally electrified. There are not many places on the earth that are occupied that don't have some access to a power grid. And it's one of the reasons we talk about being prepared. But just listen to the rest of this.
Little as 15 minutes from when it hits the satellite to when it arrives at Earth. That big one will take out every circuit board and will instantly cause satellites to fail and every airplane in the sky to attempt a no radio, no GPS, old school by the eyes landing. While every transformer on the ground is vulnerable, it only takes 9 lost in the right place to take out power to the entire United States.
Okay? This is why we talk about this stuff. There's just 9 transformers. Just 9 of them are taken out in the wrong places. The entire United States would experience coast-to-coast outages for months because we have not upgraded our infrastructure. And an infrastructure bill was put before Congress just this past year. Just adding some resistors and adding some, anyway, it was the wrong party's idea because the other party, anything that the wrong party says, the other party's going to not do, even if it's in their own best interest, which is asinine.
And they estimate hundreds would fail in that scenario. You've heard this next bit before. What comes next? No power, no heat, no air conditioning, no phone, no refrigeration, no gas, no ATM, and no water. If the sun hits us big time, we could see 1 billion or more people die worldwide. And that is before you consider what would happen to the nuclear plants, which are even more vulnerable than this article states. The article discusses how they only have a couple weeks of diesel for the backup generators. But who says the generators are going to work at all? They're as vulnerable as anything else. Despite warnings from the scientists, power companies have done little to the grid except make it more vulnerable, especially to longer lasting storms, ones that go on for days, or those that are more powerful. The utilities aren't even required to plan for another 1859 superstorm. So even adding the capacitors they suggest in the article.
I'm sorry, I think I said 1849 earlier, 1859.
Just isn't going to cut it. And the news gets worse from there. That's not even all the sun can do. Since those government reports about the 1859 superstorm, we have learned and confirmed the super flare potential of our star. While their half measures and awareness likely protects them against the more regular storms seen every 11-year sunspot cycle, and just as we saw, they're not prepared for bigger ones like 1859. 1859 is about 10 to 25 times less powerful than what the sun does on even longer time scales.
Okay. Need to stop here just so that you understand that. What happened in 1859 did not have a mass impact because we weren't electrified. All right. What happened in 1859 was so much more, it was 25 times less than what is happening now on a regular basis, while our magnetic field is weakening as the magnetic poles migrate and potentially flip, as we've talked about on here before as well.
Furthermore, none of this horrible news takes into account that Earth is more vulnerable by the day. As Earth's magnetic poles shift and the power of the magnetic field fades, we are losing our shield against energy from space, cosmic rays, supernova explosions, and indeed, the sun.
Look how quick. From 1850 to 2000, everything was pretty smooth, including in 1921 when we had the one that did damage everything electrical. Then we get into 2000, 2010, 2015, 7 years ago.
The takeaway is this. The sun does this regularly on geophysical timescales. Every 150 years or so, we take one of those blasts, and we're due again right now. Maybe this cycle, maybe the next one. We have been lucky not to have one in the electrical age thus far, but that luck will run out. And with the weakening magnetic field of Earth, we are in big trouble. Globalization has taken the non-electric population of Earth from over 2 billion to just a handful in the last 2 decades, meaning the entire planet is at risk. We are due for the sun's judgment, and the only defense we have is disappearing. This is why we do what we do. I'll see you in the morning for the daily update. Be safe, everyone. Good evening.
Thank you all for watching that and watching this. So we've kind of covered everything. Let's go. Hang with me here for a second. Here we go. 3 minutes without air or in icy water. 3 hours without shelter in a harsh environment. We could be talking about an incredibly harsh environment if it's a solar event. 3 days without water. We've given you a couple of different videos to watch that if you want to begin, do it now. Don't wait until something happens to go, I'm going to build this thing and see if it works. Build it and see if it works now before you need it, okay? And I'm sure you thought of that, but just in case somebody didn't, something to think about. You can survive for 3 days without water. You can survive for 3 weeks without food. Now, some of you may think, oh, there's absolutely, I can't go 3 hours without a bag of chips. Well, you can, and you may have to. One final point, there's no use stockpiling your food if you're going to eat it all in the first 3 days. You're going to find out you don't have any food. So discipline is going to be a key. Disciplining yourself, limiting your water, limiting your food, and we're in a heat wave at the moment. We just Stanford University's parts of California is experiencing power outages. I'm sure other parts of the country are too. We're not going to hear about it on mainstream. They're going to, they're like, we've told you they're going to be power outages and they're not going to impact anywhere we are. So, that's how it is. We are the lesser, all right? It's just the way it is, with the exception of the Bible telling us that the meek shall inherit the earth. All we got to do is get through everything that's coming, and that includes spiritually. So take a look at this video for a little spiritual advice. Take a look at this playlist for a little bit of preparedness advice, including preparing mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And thank you for taking a look at this, what we're doing here now. I appreciate you watching. We've got a new catchphrase we're going to be closing out with over the next few months. So for the next few months, not only is it a dark world and be a light, not only do I wish blessings upon you, namaste, shalom, salam, blessings in the name of the one true risen Son of the Most High God. And be cool, be safe, and avoid crazy people. I love y'all. Thank you for watching. We'll be back soon.